Hey everybody, this is Crew Chat. I'm Glenn, and it is time for the wine of the week. And today we are going to jump into a Verdejo Spanish wine from 2017, white wine. So listen, a lot of people when they first get into wine, they really concentrate on the red wines. I think that's a mistake. I did the same thing, but there is such a wide variety of really cool, really interesting white wines out there. So you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't try them both. So let's talk about this. This is Verdejo, like I said, from Spain. It's a lot of times when you talk about wine, how does wine get its name? What does Verdejo mean? Well, in this case, it's a grape variety. When you're talking about wine, sometimes you talk about it, you name it by the grape it's made from. Cabernet Sauvignon, Pinot Noir, Verdejo. Sometimes you talk about the producer. In the old world, in Europe, for the most part, usually you talk about the appellation, the region that the wine comes from, and that's how it's identified. And the reason that's the case is because the tradition of winemaking in Europe is such that, they want the wine to express the region and the culture that it comes from. So the place is more important than the grape. Now this is an exception because in this case, the grape variety itself is really only produced in one place. And that's the Rueda province in Spain. So let's go to the map and check that out. So the Iberian Peninsula here, on the west of Europe, just to the northwest of Madrid, you've got this area that's highlighted in green here, and that is Rueda. It's near the interior of the country, and it is hot. The weather there is hot during the day and it gets pretty chilly at night. And what this means for the wine is that it's going to get really ripe because the hot temperatures and the dry heat gives you ripe grapes. And at night, the temperature drops down and that preserves the acidity in the wine. So it's going to be nicely balanced, and that's kind of what you want. So you get this nice kind of tropical color in the wine. It's this nice yellow tropical color. And when you drink it, it's going to give you a nice kind of tart punch. So let's jump right into that. Yeah, that's exactly what I was expecting. It's kind of acidic, which is really nice. It's floral. It gives you those tropical flavors like pineapple, some citrus, some lemon in there, but really, really good. So the Rueda, the Verdejo is going to go really good with stuff like seafood, like any of the white wines from Spain. They go really well with seafood, but this is no exception to that. So the acidity of it is such that you can really drink it by itself too, and it's really nice. Let's take a quick look at the label here. Now, reading these labels is super important because when you figure out what kind of stuff you like, what kind of characteristics you like when you're trying a new wine, to be able to find other wines that have the same characteristics means you're going to have to understand what these labels say. And sometimes, especially with the old world, the European wines, it can be difficult because there's a lot of different rules and regulations, different laws they have to follow. But for the most part, once you get used to it, you can figure this stuff out. So let's take a quick look at this one. Right at the top, we have Reina de Castilla. That's the producer. Under that, it says Verdejo 2017. Verdejo is the grape variety, as we explained. And 2017, the vintage. Most wine bottles have that, but that's the year the grapes were actually harvested, not the year the wine was released, because it might get aged for several years before it comes out. Underneath, this says Viñedos, Veijos, which you'll see that on a bunch of wines from different countries. In America, you'll see that a lot of times with Zinfandel, but it means old vines. And it's sort of an indication that the vineyard and the grapevines were planted a long time ago. There's no real legal definition of what old vines means. It could mean 30 years plus, 50 years plus. And there's also a lot of debate as to what that means in terms of the flavor of the wine. Some scientists say that with an old vine, the roots can go down deeper and access more minerals in the soil, and you get a different flavor or maybe a more subtle taste out of the wine. Yeah, it's up for debate. Personally, I've never necessarily found a lot of difference in that, but it's something cool and something a little different. Under that, it says Rueda. Now again, this is an appellation, and in Spain, you have these DOs, or how do you say it? Denominación de Origen. And kind of like with Italian wines or French wines, if you have that on your label, it's it helps the consumer know that this came from a certain region and it was made under certain regulations. They followed certain procedures with the winemaking and the irrigation and bottling and stuff like that. So you kind of know you're getting a quality product, or at least something, you get what it says on the label. And it's sort of an anti-corruption thing that they did a long, long time ago. So, and then beyond that, it just again lists the name of the producer, which in this case is Reina de Castilla. So this is a great white wine. A lot of the times, what you can learn from this, right, is that if you find something that comes from a really hot region, it's going to be fruity and ripe tasting. But if it's somewhere where it actually gets cool at night in that climate, that means it's also going to have really good acid and be a good balanced wine. So this falls into that category for sure. I totally recommend it. This bottle only cost me like $13, $15. Spanish wines are almost always a really good value. So if you can check out stuff from Spain, you're not going to spend a lot of money to find some really good stuff. Anyway, that's it. That's the wine of the week. Verdejo from Spain. Go out and grab some, and we'll see you next time.